to Die Rolling's D&D Debrief.
Ooh,
Indeed. We are Die Rolling, a group of Dungeons and Dragons players, very early Dungeons and Dragons players. This is our first campaign. We've just completed our first campaign, the Lost Mines of Phandelver. Ooh.
brilliant.
Fantastic. So this is, for many of us, first time playing Dungeons and Dragons at all. We're playing 5th edition. Obviously, it's the start set for 5th edition. If we do a quick roll call, who the hell are we? Starting off, I'm Josh. I played Rem, halfling, lightfoot rogue. I was very roguish. Got some awkward things. To my left, to my
I was doing that.
to my left is
Riddle.
Rich. Please fill us in.
The daddy.
And who did you play?
I played Brayman. I did play Brayman, and he was a human fighter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
fought some stuff. I think I see.
And
We've got
yourself?
all of our name tags are now in the wrong place.
Oh,
We've all moved around the table.
We all decided the change was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The campaign's over. We'll change seats. It's fine.
Yep.
I am Jack. I play the Dungeon Master.
Which covers numerous characters. Fantastic. And to my right, I have Stu.
We should have just had face masks,
Yeah.
so we could show people who originally sat in these places
Oh,
and
that
reveal
would've
who
been
sat there
really
now.
I've got the ratings up.
They would, wouldn't it? I know what the people like.
I'm going to spend a lot of this evening reining you guys in. I see. And Stu.
Yes,
And who did you play?
I'm Stuart and I played Grim, a dwarf.
I can't reach that one.
Somewhere around here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Grim. There you go. And in
I normally sit there, see?
Yeah.
That's
and in
why it says
Grim's
Grim.
place.
Yeah.
So I am Ollie. So I played the High Elf Mage Cathari. So that was me.
The de facto leader. Of
The
the
de
group.
facto leader of the group.
And occasional corpse.
An occasional corpse, a quite frequent corpse. Occasional liquor of monsters.
Cool. So this evening we're going to cover the start set and our general feedback on 5e Dungeons and Dragons. I think the campaign started pretty aggressively with the first encounter. Yes, almost downing and permanently killing one of our characters.
We essentially died in the first turn.
Yeah. So
And most other turns.
yeah, and most other turns thereafter. Yeah, so there's the first ever combat of the game. Who's you're coming along in a cart and you find a horse with arrows in the body. And
Spoilers.
I don't play spoilers. There's going to be a lot of spoilers.
There's going to be a lot of spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been out for a while. The spoiler cap is now well and truly over.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the first encounter of the game. I don't play a mage very well, it turns out. So I played a little bit of D&D back in the 3.5 days, and I love playing paladins. I love big, tanky type characters with lots of health, lots of armor, and a relatively good amount of charisma. Which this character had none of those traits. So when I waltzed up to this dead horse or steed that was blocking the road and twanged one of the arrows in the corpse, I was immediately shot. Went down. I think went at least 1 or 2 death saving throws.
Yeah.
So it was a near miss.
I think it's quite clear that level 1 characters in 5e
Quite squishy.
have pretty much no health. How did you find the combat system in general, everyone? It was.
Well, I mean, our play style was quite laid back, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
we weren't. It was something that I've spoken to with Richard. It was something that I was not having played this before. I didn't know quite what to expect. Whether it was going to be really rigidly structured or quite open and free. And it turns out we played it quite open, pitching things in, not completely willy-nilly, but the combat system and the way it all panned out seemed to work really well with that.
Yeah. I found essentially your go-to dice of a d20
Yeah.
at the beginning. of everything is a D20.
Yeah, it's a D20 based system, isn't it? So you always D20 is pretty much everything apart from damage rolls. So.
Sure. And Rich, you played in a more combat heavy group before, playing 5e.
Yeah, I played a warlock in my other group.
How did that vary?
We just used to slam stuff. Lots of dice rolling. There was lots of quick combat actually. We ended up having on top of the board. He made turn markers when the initiative rolled up.
Oh wow!
We had turn markers because so we could see who was involved in initiative plus the monsters initiative.
Oh wow!
Because he wanted a really fast-paced game. Literally, it was we're playing. You know, like you're in a fight. Let's bloody go basically. So rather than the DM trying to instruct the table to go, come on, bloody roll, you're up now, kind of thing. It was more visual. Wanted to fight through. But both of them are good fun.
And do you prefer having the turn markers?
It can help. Depends if you want to speed the game up.
We can do, obviously, we can do that.
There would just be little bits of paper that would just fold over the top.
Yeah.
It would just have, monster one, two. It didn't matter what the monsters were, but it would have every character, and you could just see them from left to right and right to left. The roles of initiative, basically, so everybody can be aware of actually what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's relatively common. I think quite a few people do that.
yeah.
So we can decide whether we
I
want to do that.
don't think it's needed. I don't think at any time during the nearly a year we've been playing this, I don't think at any time there was any real confusion as to what was going on or who was doing what. Occasionally you say, right, well, where am I in relation to such and such beastie?
Yeah.
But most of the time it was relatively easy to keep track of everything without any sort of visual stimulus. I don't think it, don't really think it would be necessary.
As Dungeon Master, how was it running combat from your side?
Yeah, it was good. It was tricky. Obviously, the more bodies you throw into the mix, the trickier it gets to keep the pace up. Because you don't want it to get boring for anyone. And if you've got a party of 5 and then 10 zombies wandering about, so you quickly find ways to kind of group them so that you're doing things in quicker sequence.
Yeah.
I think the Zubat Cave was probably one.
Zubat Cave. It's not called the Zubat Cave. Sorry, Nintendo. But that's what we call it. Yeah,
That's okay. Yeah.
Obviously.
But that was the good thing I found about the combat was I played it in both styles and both are good. You can play it how you want.
Yeah.
If you want to come dungeon crawl it, you can just come dungeon crawl it. Just literally bash the monsters. If you want to sit there and be a bit more RP, you can if you want to.
Yeah.
Good.
I suppose it depends whether you want to play like an RP game with a mechanical flavouring or whether you want to play a mechanical game with RP flavouring.
So, Stu and Ollie, you were our core magic users for most of the campaign. How did you find the magic system?
Really easy, actually. Again, something that I've never done before. I've got to admit, I kept forgetting that I had.
I was going to comment.
My main tactic in the game was use my forehead and then my axe. But I did find that occasionally it could have some spectacular effects if it went right. Like there was a time I think when I completely wiped out a bugbear that had me ensnared in its arms.
Does that inflict wounds?
Boom! Turned it into mulch, but
the mulcher.
The mulcher.
On the whole, I think it worked really well. It was easy to use, easy to keep track of everything.
So we got up to level 4. Did you have a favourite spell or most effective spell?
You might have got to level 5. We never worked out the
We
final.
never worked out the final
There's a lot of XP flying around.
It's a long way to level 5.
It was a long way,
I don't think for me it wasn't my favourite spell at all, but the spell that I really liked because it turned combat soft was Burning Hands. There were so many combats where we'd we'd be in combat and I'd be like, oh gosh, what are we going to do here? It's going to be, oh yeah, that's right, I can set fire to everything. Maybe I should do more of that.
It's quite effective.
I liked my celestial weapon.
Yeah,
Sure.
Good.
I'm going to come
Euphemism.
out and say that on the internet live. I like my celestial weapon.
I like my celestial weapon.
Wow.
Do you want to explain what that spell is to people who don't know what it is?
A spell where you basically cast a glowing weapon of your choice or that goes along with the god or whatever that you want that you're following. In my case, it was a great big axe, and the beauty of it being that you can use it twice in one. You have a bonus attack, so if you're going up against a group of monsters, and it is quite effective with some decent dice rolling, you can do some serious damage with it.
Sure. That was really cool.
Yeah, and it's one thing that really appeals to me actually is it feels quite cinematic.
Yeah.
The whole system actually.
You kind of want to do
something that has really stuck with me throughout the course of the game. Is that there are moments when we've been playing that have actually lodged themselves visually in my mind, that I can almost see as moments of cinema. You know,
mine's losing my hand in the bum of an ogre. That's quite good roll, that one.
The look on everybody's faces when you slapped a small child down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you hit a child.
Yeah, that wasn't even a bad throw. That was a poor decision.
At that point, we had a paladin on our team as well.
Yeah.
He's no longer with us.
Yeah. He's not died.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
His character.
He did. The paladin died. Yeah.
But he did not take kindly to the treatment of that
Slapping a child.
But
I've got covered for you.
I played a rogue. What am I going to do? You know?
To be fair, you were a halfling, so
Yeah, same level.
Similar
right?
size.
Same
yeah,
height.
it's not exactly like you're picking on somebody tiny.
Yeah. So if the magic spells were cinematic, how did you find the more hand-to-hand combat as a fighter?
I wouldn't have played a fighter.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to, and if I was, I wouldn't have chose the path the pre-generated character was. So I was a fighter at level 3. Chose the archery talent basically. I would have gone Eldritch Knight just to mix it up a little bit, I think. But
And that allows spellcasting.
that would have allowed some minor. Yeah, it would have been. It's a bit crap, I think. It's not that good with a sword. Like, same with a bow. I was level 4. I had a +9 at level 4.
It's great.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. That was only +8 at standard, just because we'd been in the forge with a +9. That was mega. Firing them off. But if you want to be a hero, like, it's great.
Sure.
If you want to be a hero and get in there with a great sword, Aragon some people to pieces. Yeah. Definitely worth it.
To Aragorn.
Aragon. I just think of
to Aragorn.
to Fellowship of the Ring. You know when.
News Aragorn.
I'm afraid I'll be late to work. The word today I was Aragorn.
So how did you find navigating around the character sheet that we were given?
I suppose I'm a little bit well vested in character sheets.
Yeah, we'll avoid you.
I view myself like my personal life as a character sheet.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, like every day I go to work, I'm like, oh yeah, I got my skills. That I can. Yeah, that's it.
What are your ideals, flaws, and bonds?
Yeah.
My ideals, flaws, and bonds. My ideals are generally positive all the time. My flaws are I'm generally positive all the time. And my bond is that's too slushy to say on the air.
Oh.
It's very sweet. Very sweet. It's to do with my darling wife.
Yeah. That's really ruined it.
Yeah, ruined it. It's no longer humorous.
Lower the tone.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks for
Always
real
bringing
emotions.
your wife into stuff.
Yeah, exactly. No, I found it took me a good 2 to 3 sessions to sort of get my head around where everything was on the character sheet and what I was good and not good at.
Yeah.
So that's always good to know for our next campaign in terms of building a character.
Laminate it.
Yeah, laminate it.
The drive-by razor.
Yeah. Bring it to sessions as well. We
had a couple of lost character sheets, didn't we?
Yeah, it's no good.
Muddle through.
Indeed. So, the Lost Mines is the Dungeons and Dragons starter set.
Good work, Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, indeed. So, how did you find playing with the set, Jack, our Dungeon Master? Obviously, you were the first person to see.
Because there's an unboxing video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Unboxed.
Oh, look at the size of the box.
It's so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have to take my clothes off.
Unboxing.
What's in there?
Yeah.
Oh, open that up. A starter set rulebook.
Fantastic.
So the first thing you see is the starter set rulebook, which is like the full rulebook, but without all of the things you don't really need, except for those very specific scenarios.
Sure.
Like what happens if you fall off a horse
Cool.
whilst running. Which doesn't come up a lot, in your average game.
Allow me to rephrase my question. Having ran your first campaign, how helpful did you find the D&D starter set?
Helpful.
Yeah.
And
Did they give you enough
then
information?
It came to the dice. Yeah, I think I cheated a bit in that I bought the player's handbook and the monster manual and the dungeon master's guide all simultaneously. And I read bits at a time of each of them because I found it quite hardcore to read all the way through.
Front to back.
Hardcore! It's quite hardcore to read all the way through. Yeah, front to back the whole campaign because there's a lot going on there, especially if you don't know the rules.
Sure.
So I was reading a bit of the campaign. I was like, none of that means anything. Going to the handbook and saying, that kind of makes sense, and then linking it to check the monsters out. I was like, and then kind of getting bits out of Dungeon Master's Guide as well, and kind of doing it, and that worked for me because it never got boring.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like work ever, which I could imagine it getting into in certain scenarios. So I just managed to, I've read a bit about monsters. Now I'll see what's next. So that would be advice of mine for anyone taking it up.
Yeah.
But in terms of what it gave you, I think it gave you enough structure so you could run it however you wanted to run it. If you wanted to run it really by the letter of the law and you're that type of, that's what you enjoy in a game, then you can do it that way. It gives you everything you need and it eases you into it. So the first chapter, when you're in the goblin caves and the like, everything is spelt out for me as the dungeon master. And then as you progress, it starts to ease off. And it drops, so it stops telling you how much experience to give the present players. It starts to let you calculate it, and then it stops telling you how to run a character, how to role play a character. It just gives you their name or their occupation, whatever you start. So I think that's good in that regard because it kind of allows you to ease into it.
So at the sort of beginning, it's kind of scripting you in a way, holding your hand quite a bit.
Exactly, and
as it goes along, it steps back.
Yeah, and it actually does script you at the start. So some of the first things the goblins said to you as they were screaming, killing you on the very first round of gameplay ever. Everything they said virtually was scripted.
Oh wow!
As far as I recall, and same when you met Clark in the high gown, etc., etc. And Sildar, like how to roleplay Sildar was like a whole paragraph.
Oh wow!
Whereas, later on down the line, when you met Nundro at the very, very end, who you believed to be Nundro.
Nundro! Spoilers! Oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one. Spoilers.
He's not Nundro.
Blimey.
At that point, it just says you meet Nundro.
Yeah,
probably, possibly.
So I actually read the guide after our campaign, and I did read that page 1 to the end, like it bit backwards and forwards, but I've read the whole thing because I'm intrigued in how it works behind the scenes. What I was surprised by was how little role-playing elements they gave us later on, and how much you filled in.
Yeah.
So, what was your favourite moment that you entirely crafted yourself?
Good question.
My favourite moment that I entirely crafted myself was when you were in Cragmore Castle and you were in a situation that looked pretty perilous. You were basically captured, held hostage in a room full of bugbears, a doppelganger who you didn't know was a doppelganger at that point, which was the drow that was in there. And
hobgoblins, I remember, was there?
King Groll, and possibly some hobgoblins. Pretty dire scenario, and you had to talk your way out of it.
As a wolf.
And to talk your way out of it, and them letting you go, you convinced them that everyone in Phandelver knew about the lost mines. And then they asked you to go and deal with it. And by the time you arrived, they'd beaten you there to it. And started interrogating all of the locals, which was entirely a situation that you had created, not written in the book.
Really, that was all a reaction to us going. You were against the town.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody knows what's going on here.
Because spoilers, they didn't want anyone to know about the mine, so they would, if it meant destroying half the town, they'd destroy half the town.
Sure.
I enjoyed the reaction when you found out that it was of your end. This week, I remember you saying. Rem, Josh, We did this. That gave me a little smile.
Yeah.
Mind you, that was all completely turned around by the look on your face when he killed Glassstaff within 30 seconds. Here comes the big entrance.
So just
the look on your face there was priceless as you thought, that wasn't meant to happen.
Yeah, I rolled a 20 on the final throw. Just very good. Yeah, that was very effective. So what was everyone's favourite moment from Lost Mines?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I know, it's got a lot to go to, and not all of them are going to be within the sets that people have played, because some of them are fabricated by our very own Jack.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll kick off with my own favourite. What do you think about yours? So part of the campaign, and people who play the start set will do this part. You go to a banshee in the woods. Agatha.
I wasn't present for it.
No, you missed Agatha. You see, and you're basically tasked by Sister Grell in Phandelver to give Agatha a shiny hair comb, and then you can ask her any information that you want. And in the start set, it actually says she knows everything, so you can pretty much ask her anything, but you can only ever ask her once. And we asked her the question, which was about Bojangles' book. Bojangles, yeah, we got the information, but I had a ring left over from Transcendor Manor, so I decided that I'd put that in the case and see if I could ask her more questions. Now, in the book, none of that is written, but I didn't know this, right? So I put the ring in the case, and Jack, being the wonderful dungeon master that he is, she came back, and I got to talk to her, and she gave me absolutely no information, but it was quite an epic moment, because it was like completely dark. It was at night when she turned up. She was this big white light and kind of quite horrifying. She was meant to be beautiful when she was alive, but she was all like skeleton-y. And it was really cool. Like, I really enjoyed that, and like I felt like it really affected the character. And there was only the three of us when we were there, so it felt like there was no way if we ever got any form of combat encounter that we would defeat her. So it just felt like a bit of a off the beaten path adventure, and I really enjoyed that. It was a good session.
I think definitely for me, I like the unexpected things. I think playing Karth as a character that was really squishy but would just openly walk up to things was quite fun.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to do like the exact opposite of what you think is a good idea, and that's kind of how I played Karth the whole way through the campaign. What would be a good idea? You just walked into a dark temple-like room. There's a brazier at the far end. What would be a sane thing to do? The same thing would be like, very carefully what's in the room. You know that you're quite a weak character, stay close to that. That didn't happen at all. Karth walks straight into the room and thinks, right, it's dark in here, I'm going to light this brazier. Goes to light the brazier, and a thing drops on him. And immediately starts mulching him.
This was Cragmore Castle.
It's Cragmore Castle, yeah. This thing which we found out later was a crick. Yeah, absolutely mulches him to a point where he, is completely unconscious, covered in slime.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was absolutely hilarious.
That was
led to a pathological fear of
That's
looking
it.
up.
Yeah, but then like the whole rest of the campaign, you can play into that. So like any scenario, I think you could drop on him. He was really sketchy. So he went into the whole final dungeon of like caves and was constantly
and
like
then what
terrified.
happened?
So then dropped on him.
A giant spider
dropped on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an incredible combat encounter in Cragmore Castle, because that was the first time in the campaign that I thought we're going to have to tactically retreat.
This is it. Yeah, we're out.
It was quite a tough dungeon, really.
Yeah. But in a really cool way.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing about the combat system is it's so dynamic. Like, you play a lot of role-playing games, and you basically just stood opposite each other, like throwing weapon attacks at each other, just missing or doing very little damage. It's just kind of like the online multiplayer kind of game where you're just slowly chipping away at each other for long periods of time. Oh, I've used an ability, I've chipped away slightly more than you. Whereas I find that D&D is quite deadly. Combat turns so quickly. And I think that's really cool.
But also, like, location is really important, where you position your character. Like,
and tactics. Like, the first few sessions, we were awful. Like,
terrible.
we almost wiped so many times just because we really struggled to get the whole tactics thing, but then we nailed it down.
It's the way things can happen that completely unexpected, and like you say, that turns it right round. Like me leaping stupidly off the top of a crevice to attack the bugbear that was attacking you, I believe.
Yeah.
Rolled a nat 20. So I cannonball from about 30 feet up, land on the bugbear, and then rolled nothing for my attack. So this dwarf has hit this bugbear from a height of 30 feet at terminal velocity, and he just went, oh, and I ended up in the river.
Doing. Was that your favourite moment from the campaign?
No, actually, no. No, my favourite moment, the one that sticks. There's been so much fun and lunacy that went on. The thing that stuck in my mind right all the way through was the encounter in the barracks room. You'd fallen in the cistern.
Yeah.
You tried to freeze it or walk across the water.
Tried to freeze it and slide across it.
And it gave out halfway across and you fell into the cistern. Meanwhile, the rest of us were in a barracks room, rather enthusiastically questioning I think it was a Red Brand, a member of the Red Brands. Now, I can't remember quite why it was.
How did he get naked?
He was naked.
Why was he naked?
I can't remember how he ended up. He was only in his shorts.
Yeah.
And he somehow ended up. He made a run for it. Also,
He was on very low health.
Something happened, and he ran out of the room. You set him on fire.
I electrocuted him.
You electrocuted him. That was it.
He was running by, and I was just like, what do I do?
I've just got this picture in my mind of this guy. He's standing there dripping wet, and just pulled himself out of this great flat cistern. And this guy comes screaming out of this side door, running past him, and your immediate reaction is zap! Fries the poor bastard.
Yeah, and he fell down. He was dead. Poor guy.
Instant.
It's like I said, moments like that it just
Can't write it. Yeah.
No, you can't, and it just leads to such a great bit of story.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we'll get back to your favourite moment in a minute, but there was a lot of NPC abuse in this campaign.
Yes.
Who's your favourite NPC?
Yeah, favourite NPC. That's a very good question. We had a lot of good fun in the tavern.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of the way it was acted, I think the serving boy,
The serving boy.
Pip
The serving boy.
Pip the little serving boy.
Oh, thank you, sir.
There it is.
Oh, I'm very sorry, sir.
So good.
Who was totally overawed and just blown away by these great warriors in his midst.
Yeah.
He was great.
I think anyone who Karth openly told a secret to he wasn't supposed to, or anyone who Karth fell out with was quite good. When he had his angry moments, and he just used to insult people.
You didn't like Sister Grail.
I didn't like Sister Grail. Yeah, I called her a lesser elf. I remember that. Those are the kind of fun moments, and playing that off between the DM and yourself. It's really fun. So thank you very much. Yeah.
What was your favourite moment of Lost
I'm going to go for two.
Okay.
With my favourite NPC was Shay.
Yeah.
And making him drink a bottle of ink.
Drink the ink.
I don't know why he had to drink the ink, but I'm sure it was to keep a secret or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, the Red Brand.
That was it. Yeah.
I think we just decided to drink.
And then in our kind of our group childishness, we very much had like an inertia of decision making behind us. That if the decision was ridiculous, that was the decision. we were going to
the
make.
more ridiculous the decision was, it was like, that's what we did.
It was usually one of Karth's. Let's be honest here. Why don't we go in there? Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, sounds wonderful.
I was also a big fan of the naked assault with Helman Kost's well. Do you remember? When we got back,
Was it naked?
he was naked.
I was naked.
Why is he already naked?
So Rem wanted to be super stealth, right? So he took his clothes off and he rolled in the mud. We rolled for his
Wang
his member size.
Do you remember what was the result?
It was
There was a lot of
It
rolling.
was a sad 3.
There was a lot of rolling for Wangley.
And he stealthed up in his nud.
The fact that you got halfway there, and out come like this West Side Story legion of zombies, and you were just stuck there naked, like hiding behind a bush with all these 15 zombies.
Yeah.
It was,
Absolute conga line coming
it
out.
was a lovely chat, and then robbed them blind.
He's described in the book as evil mage.
Oh, was he? I
Yeah.
thought he was delightful. To be honest.
He was lovely.
Yeah, I thought
But
he
we
was
actually
fine.
got on with him really well.
Yeah.
And I robbed him blind.
Yeah, we
Stole
took
everything.
everything he owned.
Just yeah, that bloody pearl as well, which we ended up selling, I think.
I
we
think
we
so.
do.
We needed that.
Yes,
part.
that would have been
Bloody
really
pearl,
useful
yeah.
later in the game.
Really useful.
So yeah, we all had good fun.
What was your favourite part of the campaign?
Part campaign.
And your favourite NPC?
Because it's from a different perspective.
As the NPCs, which
I could name loads of them. I like the moment when early on in the Goblin Caves there was basically the log flume that people kept riding down. The water trap. That was hilarious. And then also your Karth's defense of it, just putting up that ice shield.
The ice shield is
Because that was
amazing.
really good, like
Yeah.
on the spot way
Yeah.
to use your abilities.
Yeah.
That was
He
cool.
was hanging from a bridge.
Yeah, like any time you kidnapped a goblin, that was always funny.
Oh gosh.
Because they had a variety of outcomes, but there were some mistreatments.
We locked one in a box.
Yeah,
I wasn't there for that one.
Scalping, there was a lobotomy performed.
There was a lobotomy.
Yeah. It was
I think I was only present for one being
We
tied
We
to the
lied
back
to
of the
them a
car.
lot.
We liked them a lot. What was his name?
You
We
run
locked a
him
little
over.
guy in a box, and while we were arrested, Drew
In Transcendal
locked him in the
Manor,
box, yeah. And then we had a rest while he was locked in the box.
Yeah.
And then we let him out again because he let us out. But we didn't trust him to be out. So we're like, we'll lock him in the box.
I think when I was about to join this campaign, there was 2 characters to play, and one of them potentially could have been Drew. We talked about it, but I didn't know how he'd been role played, so I didn't pick him up. So
Sure.
that could have
That would have been really
you
interesting.
could have joined the party from within a box.
From within
I
a box.
yeah, exactly.
You ended up joining as Gundren in the end. No,
Oh,
sorry,
of
not
course.
you, the next member.
That's true, the next member, yeah.
But that would have been interesting to see how
It
he'd
would have
taken
been.
over from the
Yeah.
And but I think actually, even though there's been lots of little moments, Tavern was good as well. I've always enjoyed the Tavern. I think my actual favourite moment came really late on when the other member of the party who isn't right here at the moment, who is otherwise engaged, who played Gundren, joined the party late on. Right at the end of the game, managed to role play his way through 2 of the Guardians in Wave Echo Cave by finding this wave, the wand, putting 2 and 2 together that it might be one of the wizard's wands, and then using that to cast away or dismiss the Guardians. Because that
Excuse me,
shows.
I have to take issue with this somewhat.
Yeah.
Because I did basically spend possibly 3 or 4 sessions basically go, use the wand, use the
That
wand,
is true.
the wand.
Yeah, that's true.
To a
So
point where I
maybe
got
seeded.
Yeah, if we watch it back, I get really grumpy about it, which I'm not proud about. It's just a wand! Which is the one thing the cast's going to be remembered for, is to say, it's just a wand! Turns out it's an incredibly important piece of equipment.
It's not actually a nerf weapon within the start set, which is what I found the most
It's
interesting.
not actually a what?
It's not a nerf weapon. In fact, like if you had it and you were playing the normal start set with different people, that wouldn't have necessarily been the outcome.
Yeah.
Don't use that to justify
Yeah,
yourself.
see, I don't need that. It's know a lot about Dungeons and Dragons.
Like you said, at the start, everyone just goes and hits things.
Yeah.
And like the whole campaign is about learning that of course you can do that, but it was like hit things, and then you just start to learn actually at the end. Wow, we've actually overcame 2 of the biggest bad guys in the whole game by actually not rolling a single dice, apart from maybe a persuasion roll.
Deception. Yes, because Jack chose to give advantage because it was a good piece of role playing, which is something you don't really consider. Is that actually if you have a good piece of role playing, there's no reason why you won't be more successful. It was just 2 good deception rolls. But that was none of us knew how to play a bard at that point.
Yeah.
Especially not
I
Carl.
still didn't think Carl was very hard.
It's a hard character to play.
Yeah, it's hard.
But they're incredibly good at deception.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to do that, so
I really like the bard. It's a
Yeah.
class. I've never played it, but looking at it, I'm like, oh, I see now.
they're quite powerful, really. So
Lots of buffs and cool stuff like
a
that.
bit different, a bit of a supporting role. I really enjoyed it. So have you got any issues with the start set? So obviously it is a generic campaign because it's there to introduce you into D&D. Do you have any issues with it? Something you prefer that Wizards of the Coast changed?
Good question.
I think mine would have been just how generic it was. I think when I was thinking of a fantasy role-playing game, I was expecting a little more fantasy, if you know what I mean. It was just, every town was a town that I would expect to see in any fantasy game. Any ruin or manor was what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe to have a little bit more fantasy. Not to say it wasn't great, but maybe what I was expecting was a little bit more to what I was getting. I had no idea what I was getting into.
Mushroom Town.
That would have been bloody great if there was a bloody
All the
mushroom
people
town.
at Pebbles
Yeah.
have left. That kind of stuff.
What's that world in Rick and Morty with the giant arses?
Giant arses.
That's what you want.
It was a little more imagination. I wanted to be brought out and
That's fair.
but it was still great nonetheless.
Sure. You taking notes for the next thing? No. World made out of arses.
Yeah. Ice cream ranch.
I gotta change a lot.
Peppermint City.
Yeah.
I think it was quite clear I wasn't a massive fan of Wave Echo Cave itself.
It's
It felt like quite a grind.
It's quite a labyrinth as well.
Yeah, but it was very much a room full of enemies, and then a room full of enemies, and then a room full of enemies. Probably my favourite part of Wave Echo Cave was an incredibly well-crafted door that we found.
That was one of my favourite parts of the campaign.
That was a nice door.
It was amazing.
Oh,
That was
quality.
a cracking door.
And I felt safe in that little room. Which is incredible.
Just when you had that little safe haven,
Yeah.
it's just like a load of barrels in a locked room.
You don't have a lock room with a lock box. What was in the box, Jack?
What was in the box? What was in the box?
What was in
Going
the
to my
box?
grave.
What was in the box?
in the box?
Going to my grave.
Bloody, was there a key to open that
Josh
box?
has opened it.
I can't remember the.
Oh,
I'll have to check. No, I'll have to check it.
Oh, I can't remember.
Was
Do you want this?
was there a key?
Probably.
Checked more asses.
Maybe you should have rolled better.
A little bit.
Why'd you real roll so shit?
The box is just a pocket dimension. In that pocket dimension are bees. So many. Like
What do they live on? No one knows.
Nobody knows. Just the energy of the universe. Just an unending universe of bees.
Was there anything else you would have changed about the start set?
I think that it was. I think Wizards have done a mint job at it. Actually, I think it's a really good little campaign. I think it's good to get people into it. For me, I think both the blessing and the curse of a starting campaign is you have a pre-generated character sheet, which is amazing because you can just say that's your character. You're now playing D&D. I think so many people want. Like I've had so many conversations with people where you're like, oh, cool, you play D&D. I've always wanted to play D&D. Like seriously, pretty much everyone I talk to, I have a very nerdy friend group. Pretty much everyone I talk to, I'm like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to play D&D. It's like, well, you can.
Play.
Just buy the starter set. You've got a pre-gen character. Go. Like it looks intimidating, but it's really not.
Yeah.
And
Really, quite nerdy though, isn't it?
yeah, really nerdy, but that's fine.
I'm fine with that.
Nerd and proud.
Yeah.
Representing my people. But yeah, I think for me, I'd quite like a bit more. A bit more kind of like being able to adjust it. I mean, I don't know, maybe you get like 3 choices that morphs your character a bit.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's extra complexity. If I had to pick a fault, that'd be it.
Coming from a beginner though, in the first group I played in, because I joined this group halfway through, I pretty much was playing the same campaign.
Yeah.
And we got to a similar point where mine stopped, and then I was invited to play here. And in my first group, we made our own characters. I found that really stressful, actually.
It is tough.
When you wasn't know what you were
So
doing,
tough.
thinking about roleplay, I spent like a month thinking about it. I made a really crap character, and I really stressed out about it. And then when I come and played here with just the character sheet, if I was playing first time, that is actually a godsend. And I wouldn't
Good point.
I wouldn't feel like I would have had. I mean, I didn't feel like you shouldn't feel like you should need to roll your own character, if you know what I mean. You can have loads of fun with what you're given, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think you can
I
definitely.
totally agree.
Because as a
was quite
complete
stressful.
beginner,
Yeah.
I never really felt. I know that, you look at the group that we started with. You had a paladin, a dwarf.
He wasn't actually a paladin. He was a fighter, but he played in as he was
As a paladin.
As if he's a lawful good fighter.
Yeah.
You know, but you had the sort of almost the hero quest set, you know. But it never really, to me, felt pre-generated. I really enjoyed playing the character.
I think you add a lot to the character just through the role-playing element.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
the stat sheet's kind of just your stat sheet.
Yeah.
I liked that. Like I really liked Rem. I'll miss playing him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing something of my own choosing.
Yeah, like Jack was saying, how the for the dungeon master, it held his hand a lot more at the start, and then as you went on, it let you find your own feet a bit more. It was very much like that playing the game as a complete beginner to not just to D&D but to role playing. I've never done any proper role playing before. All my background is from board games and tabletop games.
Check
So
out his painting.
Yeah, sublime brushwork.
There you go.
Yeah, check it out.
So it was a completely new experience for me to just play a character verbally and to role play in that way. I found it really eased me into it. And then once having eased me into it and taken me through with baby steps, let me play it as much as I wanted to. But never did it feel like, oh, here we go through the tutorial mission. It just to me it felt like a natural way to start playing a game.
Yeah,
and
I think that's why it works so well.
The role playing you start off with at the beginning is very much inter-party, and it doesn't. I'm sure there were some pretty hammy moments, but obviously I never saw them that way. You start off with talking to your friends, and then the NPCs you talk to are kind of generic bad guys, your muscly goblins and your hobgoblins and things, and so you know what to expect. And by the time you get to the town, you're eased into these kind of fanciful characters.
You've been through and dungeon.
Yeah.
You've fought some monsters, and you've played the tutorial mission by the time you reach the town. But like I say, it never actually felt like, okay, now we're going to show you what a dungeon feels like. Now we're going to show you what it's like to smash a goblin on the head with a chair. You know.
Something I didn't ask you is how. So we play when there are two kind of very specific ways to play Dungeons and Dragons. One is with a board and with minis, and so you very specifically know what the map looks like. We played in a theatre of the mind style where Jack would describe the environment we were in. How did you find that in terms of the described information, and was that enough?
I think with me, I hugely prefer theatre of the mind. I just love it. There's a time and place for minis. You play Warhammer, you play something like that. Minis are the way to go, and there's some amazing minis out there. But for me, theatre of the mind's the way to go, because I think fantasy's all up here. You know, as soon as you have a physical representation, you know, you can't just have poker chips floating around on a grid. You know, because for me, it's kind of like that's not what this looks like. So I really like having it in my mind. The downside of that is I'm hilariously dyslexic. So when we're doing like, oh yeah, if you look, there's like a left-hand turn in front of you, and then down, that's another right-hand turn, and then like that, to be honest, I just can't take in. So I just sit quietly and wait for somebody else to do it. So in combat scenarios, that can be an issue. But luckily, you know, I tend to play characters that have really bad organizational skills and really bad at kind of knowing their rights from their lefts, and that is kind of a ploy to kind of get me over kind of dealing with that. But I hugely prefer Theatre of the Mind, and the description stuff really high level, really cool. So
I found to combat that myself and Rich became the natural map makers.
Cartographers of the group. It was amazing. Which doesn't help because you were sat next to each other. So I was like, well,
we haven't if you've rolled your next sheets yet, but that is actually a photography skill.
Very good.
I found the same thing with you all. That's why I started drawing maps, and I think that might have been for a couple of people, because I remember just like playing the game, and it would get somebody else's turn, and they would go, "So what's around me?" Yeah, then Jack would explain. You're like Ren was here, for instance, in the room, and I'm here, and I still couldn't pick up where I was in the room until I got the bearings now. But it's from my perspective, so I started drawing maps.
Sometimes during combat it's easy to lose track of where everybody is, especially if it's in a larger room.
Yeah, with lots going on.
With lots of stuff happening. But like you said, Jack's descriptions were bang on. It was easy to put yourself in the place.
Yeah.
I like the disorientation of you guys.
Yeah.
Because you see, if you're in a map view, for example, you can see behind you, you can see around corners, you can see what other people can see.
Yeah, you don't forget that somebody's behind you.
Exactly, but in the whirlwind of combat, you've got to remember each turn's maybe 6 seconds.
6 seconds.
I can imagine it would be quite distracting having a giant great beast in front of you. You wouldn't notice that such and such is trying to open a door or something on the inside of the room.
I think it depends on the pace of the game you want to play. Like when we were playing in the other group before, and it was just bashing dungeons. Get in there. We'd get to the town, everyone's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Where's the fucking dungeon? We're like, alright, I'm going to try and chat to somebody. Yeah. Like, fuck it, it doesn't matter, we'll just go and find it. And like walk
arrows, rations, guns.
Yeah, and when you've got the map out, you could get through the dungeon a little bit quicker because it is a bit more, it's a bit easier to follow. You can increase the time, or decrease the time it takes between turns, and it depends what you want. I think if you want to get immersed, theory of the mind. But if you just want to get in there and bash some shit out,
I feel like I lived it more. Like I feel like if someone needed me to
100%.
walk through Wave Echo Cave now, I could do it. Just based on the sessions that we did.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I think with the map, we possibly wouldn't have backtracked and got lost a couple of times.
I don't know.
There was a couple of really wonderful moments there where we were kind of like, we'd walk into a room and then somebody would say, not me, because I'm terrible at it, but somebody would say, hang on a minute, I know where we are.
Yeah,
and that was really cool. It was almost like this, I know, down that corridor will be the entrance to the cave or whatever, and we go down and like, oh look, we're here. So it all started to make sense.
It feels a bit more closed in. If you're just getting descriptions, you're like, there's a long corridor and it's got 2 lefts and 2 rights.
Terrifying.
And you're like, I have no idea what is in there.
Anything.
You might miss something. And the reality is, if you're in a dark cave, that probably is what it's
like. It's easy to get lost. And we did get lost a couple of times.
The Theatre of the Mind was definitely made the campaign more rememberable.
Yeah.
From what I played before, I forgot a lot of it because it was so fast paced. But I remembered a lot of this campaign. I definitely lived it more, as you said. You lived it more.
Even Connerbury. Connerbury's got nothing in it, and I remember the kind of like ramshackle buildings.
Yeah, I remember you standing on top of the to keep watch.
They had multiple floors, and we were looking out, and we're watching people come down the road. And, that is essentially a nothing situation.
Yeah.
But it had quite a lot to it, right?
That was the first time I met you guys, and I remember looking at the car with white eyes just in the corner of a room, and I thought he was on drugs. He was just sat there looking through the eyes of Nigel, but I didn't know what he was doing. I just met these 2 guys, and Nigel, fucking lunatic on the other side of the room.
That's the name of the Oasis, wasn't it? Yeah. Debut album, Through the Eyes of Nigel.
So we'll bookend the Lost Mines with another question. What was your favourite table food to play Dungeons and Dragons with?
We have got
table food.
We have got through a lot of snacks.
Well, mine was.
I've got through a lot of snacks.
Mine was anything that didn't produce crumbs on the ultimate table of games.
Table of games. It's just out of shop. It's wonderful down here.
It's lovely.
It's wonderful. So this table arrived partway through our campaign, didn't it?
Thank you, Wood Robot.
Thank you, Wood Robot. And we put it together, and it's beautiful. But it does mean that occasionally, if you watch the footage back, you'll see somebody eating crisps, and you'll just see Jack's eyes dart across the table as he gets nervous. Especially when I dropped one last session, and I literally felt the daggers being trying to ignore it and as quickly.
That won't go away.
Yeah.
Cool. I liked all the food, especially the stuff that other people brought. I appreciate it.
You know what? I feel so terrible because I bought alcohol tonight. But I stopped bringing snacks because it got to a point where we had too much food.
There was a lot of food.
Yeah.
And I just gorged myself on everyone else's food, so thank you very much. But it was amazing. We just had this cornucopia of snacks that luckily is all out of shop.
Sorry, I'm too much snacks.
Yeah, you see.
Making my brain hurt.
So what I was trying to get across was Dungeons and Dragons is equally a social situation as much as it is a piece of role playing.
100%.
It's been lovely to hang out with you guys once a week.
To say that some of us have never met before.
Yeah, that's a good
It's been
point.
lovely getting to know you.
It has indeed. It really has.
So so intense. our previous session is still up on our Twitch account if you want to watch that and find out how we defeated the Lost Mines of Phandelver. Who is the Black Spider? You find out.
Who is the Black Spider?
It was that horrifying. We are die rolling. We have a new campaign coming up very soon.
So we need to date for that, so I can get my ass in gear and get all the shit prepared.
I need to do that. I've written an intro.
Yeah, if there's a date, I'll get my ass in gear and sort it out. So get a date. Yeah.
1 year ago, we were just like normal people with perhaps dark secrets in the back of our minds, except from Stu. Now we're complete nerds, quite openly on the internet.
Yeah.
And so it's been a bit of a journey. Thank you very much.
It's actually been fabulous. I can't believe it's been a year.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a year at all.
It has been really, really good fun, and it's been I'm very much looking forward to Jack's campaign. He's put in a fabulous amount of work into it already.
Indeed. You're living and breathing that campaign already.
I'm thinking about it right now.
It's going to be very good. Please subscribe to our Twitch channel. And is it called subscription? Follow our Twitch channel.
You got some money to subscribe, you know.
I think I'm going to put this video up on YouTube, so please subscribe to our YouTube, where as long as Jack is happy with the sound quality, he'll upload our previous sessions.
Yeah, it's not there yet, as you'll know. Notice, but shotgun mic's a bit tight angle.
Yeah.
We all have our nerdy things. Jack's just made sure the sound quality and video quality is bang on.
So I wanted to do a Dungeons and Dragons debrief. I'm sure Jack will do a techie debrief.
Session.
For all of you sound nerds and video nerds.
We have a YouTube channel.
We will, which is what this will go on.
We'll live in the future. Hi, future me.
So, I'm going to sum it up there.
Future me.
Were you ever pretty? And on that bombshell, thank you for watching us. We've been die rolling and enjoy D&D.
Yeah.
Cheers. Do you like
Is that a Ron Burgundy reference?
I think so. Yeah. We're still